This is the Sales Gravy Podcast. I'm Jeb Blount, best-selling author of Fanatical Prospecting, Sales EQ, Objections, and Inked, and I'm here to help you fill up your pipeline, close bigger deals, and rock your commission check. This episode is part 2 of my conversation with author Mathew Pollard on why introverts can sell. And on this episode, we focus on energy and why it's so important for introverts to protect their energy. Before we get started, though, I am so excited to tell you that my brand new book, Inked, The Ultimate Guide to Powerful Closing and Sales Negotiation Tactics that Unlock Yes and Seal the Deal, has been released and is ready for purchase on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, Google Play, or wherever books are sold. Each year, sales professionals leave billions of dollars on the table because they are outgunned, outmaneuvered, and outplayed by savvy buyers who have been schooled in the art and science of negotiation. In Inked, I level the playing field by giving you the strategies, tactics, techniques, skills, and human influence frameworks that you need to become a powerful and effective sales negotiator. So go right now and get my brand new book, Inked. I promise you that it will help you make more money this year. And now here's part 2 of my conversation with Mathew Pollard on why introverts can sell.
You were talking about energy and people using up your energy. It's so funny because my team, the team that I have around me, my constant mantra to them is protect my energy, protect my energy, protect my energy. So I'll have a salesperson and they'll say, "Oh, I booked you for dinner with the client." Part of me is happy because I like to meet my clients and I want to spend time with them. And part of me, if I go to dinner, I use up all my energy because I have to be on in that moment. And I have to, basically get my brain wrapped around looking like an extrovert in that moment, where I would be so much better off for them if I was eating dinner in my room, getting prepared. And it's okay after events. I mean, sometimes after events, I'd love to go to the event, walk around, meet their people. But a lot of my salespeople are extroverts, and it's really hard for them to get that. That doesn't necessarily energize me. One of the things that I think is important is that you got to fill yourself back up. In Power Principles, one of the first books I wrote, I talked about how, every no, every one of those doors you knocked on, every interaction, it takes a little bit out of you, and you have to take time to go back and recharge that. And I don't know if it happens for you, but what happens to me is I get to a point where I'm full. Like I'm almost like at the point where I feel like I'm about to have a nervous breakdown because I have given everything I have and people talk at me, which is what introverts get. And then I just can't take anymore. And I don't need much, by the way. If I can give me 3 hours, give me 2 hours, give me an afternoon, and I can hang out by myself. The next day I can come back and I'm ready to go again. So I think lesson number 1, if we can agree on this, is that if you fit into the space of introvert, that you know who you are, you must protect your energy, and you have to give yourself space to fill that back up again. And one tip for that is if you are in outside sales, so if you're in field sales, it's pretty easy. When you get off of a sales call, you get into your car and then you listen to something, like you said, YouTube videos, or you listen to a podcast, or you listen to something that is putting things back into you before you go to the next call, so you walk out energized. And if you're in inside sales, you're gonna have to find some space so that you can create those moments in your day where you can go be alone, which, by the way, is really tough in some of these open offices where there's no place to go and there's constantly this noise in your face, and you probably get to the point where you just can't take it anymore. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's interesting. And absolutely, yes. I think if you can say there has to be rule 1, managing your energy is the most important. And I think if I could just add on to that, I would suggest that it's understanding your energy rules. See, for me, I'm exactly the same. People want to take me out to dinner the night before because they assume I'm in my hotel room and I'm lonely. Like, I want to be lonely. That's my whole point, right? Yes, I miss my wife and I want to be at home, but I have to be by myself. So what I will always suggest is I will say, you know what, I would love to catch up for dinner, but why don't we have a VIP dinner after I speak? That way people have seen my presentation, they can ask the questions that they want. So it becomes a positive. When you're doing a sales activity, figure out how to make positives out of those negatives, but you have to start by understanding your energy. And more importantly, it's funny, I have managing my energy as a rule for my team as well. And it's getting them to understand you, but more importantly, you have to understand yourself to do that. And I think what a lot of introverts do is they see it as a negative. And Susan Cain's been really helpful in opening that door. So people are proud introverts, and that's great. I think that there's a lot of other books in introversion now coming out that now start to show we can actually do these things that are extroverted fields. So it becomes a choice. We're not just a writer or a coder because we're forced to. It's because we choose to, and we can be in sales or networking or business ownership, leadership if we want to too. But I think the most important thing is understanding what our energy rules are, communicating that with the people that control our energy. I always say my executive assistant is my boss because I don't get to choose what I do day to day. She tells me what to do. So if she doesn't understand my rules that allow me to be effective, then I'm always going to let myself down. And I think for me, when I was doing outbound sales, I would have blocked out days or half days where I would be cold calling because I put them in my schedule, and I always blocked out the night before to be ready and 2 hours to binge watch my favorite movie right afterwards because that was my treat for myself. And then it became okay, and I look forward to it because I got to watch my favorite films afterwards. Whatever your rules are, set them, make them, but don't avoid the things that you have to do. Just understand that it will take your energy. And, extroverts have got their own downsides. I mean, if they have to be at home writing a book for a while, they're going to be climbing the walls by themselves. And let's face it, sometimes they're not the best listeners either. And we have that as a huge advantage.
Thank you for joining me for part 2 of my conversation with Mathew Pollard on why introverts can sell. And I hope you got something out of our discussion on energy and energy rules and why you should protect your energy so you can be the best version of you. And don't forget to go right now to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold and pick up a copy of my brand new book, Inked, which will help you become a better sales negotiator.